I'm one person who is so much interested and passionate about radio and communicating to people in a manner that appeals to them, looking at challenges that they go through, and not only looking at them but also providing solutions, because it's something different looking at them and speaking about the challenges but not providing a solution. So career-wise, I'm so much interested in communicating and effective communication in terms of creating viable solutions. I think that answers your question, Ali.
Thank you. Kuthum.
Thank you once again. For starters, I'm a practicing journalist. I am a communicator practicing with IT International. It's an NGO, non-governmental, with the youth and a soccer academy. Career-wise, briefly being a journalist, I am a radiocaster who is passionate. Before then, I wasn't, but I enjoy radio. And it's really a hard question, is it?
Yeah, you can end there for now. No worries.
Practicing journalist.
Yeah. Thank you. Ronald Mugabe, career-wise, who is Mugabe?
That's one of the biggest questions that everyone is grappling with, even where I work, because defining me is becoming a bit hard. Though I would say I'm a media practitioner, so which means I'm like a spider which has a foot into many things. Yes, I do production. I've done production. I do on air, and I tend to balance. Most of the times, I tend to balance. My greatest strength is in radio and TV now. I've just discovered that where I work, that when it comes to television, I'm a stunt person. But also in film now is where I'm going next, because I see great opportunity there. So you can put me in all that and think of me as a media practitioner, someone who wants to do almost everything.
Thank you. Clap for this team. Starting with Kuthum. Why radio?
I want to say hello to Simon. When I was
Clap
a
for
fellow here,
Simon.
when you were introducing Simon and you talked about radio, I was seated next to El Shaddai and I said, as always, radio is the most difficult part of production. And gone are the days when Simon used to teach us more about radio, and I felt like, this is not my thing. Like, it's so complicated. It is very complicated as opposed to audiovisual, because I've been in TV, I've been in news. I was a news reader with Record TV then, before I joined radio. And when I joined radio, it was challenging for me, and I always want to take on things that are challenging. I thought when I'm on TV and go to radio, it would be the easiest part for me, but I can't lie, even up today, there are lots of things that challenge me in radio. I learn different things each and every day. It's not just a matter of getting onto the microphone and read news and you think you can make a commercial. It's multiple things in just one small thing. So radio is talking to the ear. Is talking to the ear, and you can spend over 100 years learning it. And by the time you're chosen, or you're among those persons who are facilitating a radio, facilitating any radio production to students or anywhere, I can call you special, because it's really hard. I cannot lie to you. I'm a student like you guys. I'm still learning a lot in radio.
Thank you, Kuthum. Yes, please do pass the microphone to him. Ronald Mugabe.
Yes, please.
He's the first presenter on MCI Radio. Clap for Mugabe. Even when you joined the Next Media, I think we've had the conversations around radio.
Yes.
And you still want to contribute to, especially MCI radio.
Yes.
Why radio even when you are on Sanyuka TV?
Yes. I think as a person, I was born at a time when radio was the in thing, or when radio was the thing. And I think I was born, not I think, but I was born with the radio in my ear. So growing up, and because I grew up in a place which is at the border, Kenya and Uganda, so we had BBC and KBC, so you could listen to radio, all the time. Now, coming to now, growing up, I tended to learn and appreciate what radio does. Not necessarily our Ugandan radio stations, the programming is different from when you listen to the BBC or Radio France or DW. The programming, you'll see that it's a bit different. They do cover so much that you can listen to. So radio to me, again, is like a laboratory where you can experiment. All the stars you know on television today, talk about Oprah Winfrey, talk about Pedro Pinto, talk about Larry King, talk about whoever you know, Zainab Badawi. They all started out with radio. And no wonder when they come out to do TV, they have a built-up mind, a 360-degree, an all-round mindset. So radio does that. So for me, I'm like, there's still a lot we can do because TV is a little expensive. Going to shoot a story, some of you who have been there, Shiba, I know, and Dan knows what it takes to, get a story out. But with radio, it's a bit compressed, but you can do much. So for me, I feel that radio still has a space in our society to get out some of those stories that are in society. But also, if you're practicing on radio and you want to have a career in TV, I think you have a better chance of having a built-up mind. So I feel there's a lot, even me when I'm doing sports here, I feel like there's a lot that's left out. So I want radio because it's a much easier platform, that I can ride on to get the word out.
Clap for Ronald Mugabe. Thank you, Ronald, for that. El Shaddai, I think we still have the same question. I have known El Shaddai for some good time, and El Shaddai was working with Spilt TV as a show host and producer at the same time. But then we had lengthy conversations still. And El Shaddai made a blank point. He was like, Ali, I don't feel it on TV. People give me like positive comments, but I don't feel it. I think my thing is radio, and I should do this for MCI radio. And I think he's one of the longest serving MCI radio presenters. Clap for him. And he had to quit TV at the end of last year, right? Yeah, so he ran away from the screen.
I did run.
I should say he ran away from the screen. People still wanted to watch him. And the same question stands. Why radio?
Why radio? Anyway, that is a question that I will answer with a lot of emotions, I would say,
because you don't cry.
It really relates to me personally. Why radio? I have a very strong background of why radio. And actually one would say I had to copy your question because I actually thought about this yesterday night and I was like, okay, Elshada, you're doing this, but why radio? Why radio? If you've been following me keenly, when you go back to my social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook, one of my last posts there, I was answering a particular question. Over time, I find a lot of people asking me, Elshadai, will you ever come back to TV? We miss this in-depth presentation and sort of a satirical presentation that you actually used to offer. Why did you actually choose to leave a big platform and actually go for something that is even online, something like that, it's regarded as a small thing. But my lightest response would definitely be that journalism was practiced well. The medium of communication doesn't matter. Whether I am writing in a newspaper, whether I am on TV, whether radio or doing anything else, for as long as I am practicing the journalism that is of change, that we believe can make a world a better place, that is it for me. And then why radio? You know, when I was young, I wasn't young, I was about 18 years or 19 before I joined campus. I used to listen to radio, as Mugabe said, because I used to work in my grandmother's shop. So the only communication or medium of communication we used to listen to was radio. So one day I listened to a presenter and he actually made a comment that I felt was not necessary or even was irrelevant by that time. And to me, I felt like this presenter is uninformed. And when you look at the radio stations we have in Uganda here, if we are to do a random sampling, Mugabe, most of the radio presenters are being put in those positions just because they have influence in terms of following. They might be comedians, but a comedian who is not informed, who is actually defiling the journalistic principles, is not supposed to be in that place. So to me, I was like, no, this is not something that should happen. And it is so unfortunate that we young people, most of the times we do not want to be on radio because we think they're not going to see us there. No one is going to see you. We all love to be on the screens. And if we are to ask here, just randomly, no one would actually love to be on radio. Or even a few.
A few, yeah.
If there is.
I wanted to qualify that. A few.
A few.
Yes.
It's just a few. And a handful. So everyone wants to be on TV. But to me, as like, if we were to mention a few people, when you look at Galaxy, the morning presenters, I won't say that they are not informed. They are informed. Maybe just because of the positions they are in currently that has pushed them to get that information. But previously, you cannot get a man like Detacher, put him on radio. Yes, it could be the trend, and times have changed. I agree with that. And when Sanyu FM fired the Fat Boys and all that, who was the first option to look at?
Comedian.
Salvador. You understand? When you go to Next, they have renovated, done a reshuffle. The first people to look at,
That's right.
Mother K, Amos,
What does that imply?
That means that we've not taken a deliberate choice as young people to stay relevant on radio in terms of being informed. I love comedy. I can definitely deliver in a satirical manner, but how about I back it up with professional ethics and principles of journalism, being informed, and I can stand behind a microphone and I inform people, because most of the audiences that we speak to believe in us. When Salvador says something, there is a particular portion of people that is going to take it as gospel truth.
True.
And they're going to say, Salvador said this. So to me, I felt like, if we do not stand up to this, radio is going to be manipulated. And this is the longest serving medium of communication. If we actually break it as the roots or foundation of communication, then everything is not going to make sense.
Thank you, El Shaddai. Aisha is adding on something. He's advocating for radio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a great man. One thing I left out is one of the things I stepped at my current workstation today and was employed tomorrow. Similarly, with TV,
Oh,
I
you
stepped
repeat
in-
that?
I stepped in my current workplace today and I was employed the following day.
Glad for that, friends. Huh?
And again with TV, the first day I stepped to that office, as I was crossing to get a safe border, the human resource employed me.
Wow.
So when they employed me in my current workplace, the first thing I told my productions manager is, I am here to discover. to discover how you talk to one's ear. Because look, like I earlier said, it is really, really hard to convince someone listening to radio. Really, really, really hard. As compared to getting in front of the camera and you know people are watching, you've got to feed on what I'm giving to you. But it's really hard to make a group of 5 people to listen to you and take in that information. So when I want to differ with certain speeches like, I'm not interested in radio, I want to be on TV, I want to be, yes, it is your choice. It is a choice. But I task each one of us to record something and share it with the other. Some of us record ourselves on our phones and even don't feel happy, don't pick interest in our voices, and feel like, oh, my globals is so ugly, you know. But it's really challenging, just like you watch Discovery channels and you want to know, okay, when the snake does this and this or peels off the skin, what happens? How long does it take to peel off that skin again? So radio is discovery. To me, it is discovery.
It's not a one-time thing, huh?
It's discovery. There are lots of things to discover. Like I earlier mentioned, I'll read news on radio, but it will be hard for me to do a commercial. So you've got to train yourself for a commercial, and the different types of commercials. There are documentaries. There's quite a lot. So when one is thinking to work with audiovisual, I think if you have the classics of radio, gosh, you're so rich. No one will beat you in audiovisual. No one will beat you in audiovisual because your voice convinces. It's not the appeal like people think, or people think I'm beautiful, I'll be on TV, but no, does your voice is what you will say convincing. It's even not just about the voice that comes out of you. Initially, I thought for radio you have to have a big voice for you to work with radio. But guys, there are people who have these, sweet, tiny voices, and they can talk to thousands of people through that medium of communication. So with this, trust me, when you have skills in audio, in radio, you are rich. You are rich for audiovisual as well.
Thank you.
And radio is not a stop. Today we have online radios.
True.
Currently, at my workplace, we are audiovisual. So it's not about being behind and you think, okay, you're going to be behind. But the TV is out there. People will listen to you and they will watch you. So it's a combination. And I think for us to get where we are, we were babies first. So we first learned how to sit, then how to crawl, then how to tap the walls, then walk. So this is a primary thing that I regret every time I see Simon, and I regret. I'm like, I wish I paid more attention.
We are going to get there. Clap for Kruthum. Thank you so much. Are you adding on something?
Yeah, something very brief.
You have a minute.
Okay. Like I said, I was giving examples, and I said most of the stars we know in the world now have done radio at some point or started out with radio. Today, when we were coming, we talked about Nancy Kachungira. I don't know whether you guys know about her. She started
the BBC lady?
Yeah, she started out at Power FM, and then I've been in production backstage, and 70% of what you do on TV, these guys will tell you, voice, you must produce sound. You understand. Your narration has to be thick. So coming out on visuals, you just have to do some acting. So it depends. Now when you're on television, today now, depends on how good you are an actor. That's how you can present. But when you have the content from your voice and you've built up well your stuff, everything is perfect.
Thank you so much, Ronald. We clap for the team. Now, getting home, me and you have been, we associate with week 2 of the fellowship program, and we know it's one of the action-packed weeks. Now, rewinding our times when we were students and now part of the alumni program. We were told about week 2, radio week, participatory youth radio, but then we didn't know what this meant. Yes? So I would like to hear from you. What was your experience like in week 2? And that is radio week.
Can she go first?
Okay. I think I can start. Are you okay with that? Or we start with El Shaddai?
It is okay.
Okay, thank
As a
you.
communicator, anytime you're given a microphone or
Ah.
asked to speak, you either say I don't know or I know. You
Okay,
know?
thank you.
Yeah, so I will not lie. My radio week was headache. I will not lie. Simon used to be my good friend, but every time I would look at his face, I would want to hide below the chair, under the chair, where ya, and I'm like, kakati radio njitegera, you know, because I went to Uganda Christian University, Mukono, for my bachelor's, and I never interested myself in radio because the guys who were doing radio were doing a lot of work, and perhaps we had even friends who used to do for us assignments. So I will not lie, it was action-packed, like you guys, and it's a Saturday, so I know how you feel. You're already exhausted, right? So there's lots of things that we learned in radio. For example, audio visuals, something that when I walked to my current workplace, day one, and I sat on my desk and was given a computer, you're going to voice this byte. It was easy for me because despite the unseriousness in certain people like us who are not ready for the radio week, we endeavor to do assignments. Because at the end of the day, you people, at the end of the day, even when you're not interested in something, this is going to help you at some time in your future. I never saw myself joining radio because I used to think I'm a TV person, until I left my former workplace to my current. Indeed. Until I walked to my current workplace and realized there is a lot of things that I should have learned during that time. So if there is a radio, if it is a radio week and you're given assignments, script writing, because how you write for TV is different for how you write for radio, endeavor to go for that. Endeavor to go for those audios, because even the audios you're editing, at the end of the day, when you're with audio visual, you need to sync those audios on the pictures. And for class benefits, these are the things we learn in class. It feels unique when you come for a radio week and the coming semester you're going to learn about radio. So my experience in the radio week, it was so fortunate that the following semester, the semester I was going for at campus for my bachelor's, had radio in it. So you can imagine how I was always among the first persons to collect my coursework. When we are told to go to the field, I had a colleague who was also a fellow and, classmate, Joshua Mitala. So we would do the assignments together, put things up together, and get it done. In a nutshell, I wasn't ready for it, but the little I picked, I think, has helped me to gain confidence. Even when I moved to my former workplace, I felt like I know radio, I've learned radio, I've done a lot of radio. I didn't, and I was just juggling, but I made it, and here I am.
What is that one thing you regret having not done in week 2?
The one thing, I don't remember if I was, I don't remember if I was faulted at any time for not doing anything. If maybe if Martha or anyone can remind me, Antonio, I don't know. But I think I got the assignments because we used to work in groups. Yes, we used to work in groups. And maybe one secret, we work in groups and, we let our colleagues do work for us.
Hey,
But we are going to
things
go back.
change.
We are going. Things have changed.
Yeah,
That's
hey.
right. Because we're going to go back, and this one is from Umkat, the other one is from Makerere, the other one is from here. You're going to make a call, or you know, and it will be embarrassing. And one thing I want to say is, there is a time I was in the fellowship and recommended by Mr. Mpindi to some other fellowship that I attended with Action Aid. And fortunately, my lecturer at campus was facilitating in that fellowship. So some of you who know Sam Kaziwe, that genius. Yes. So imagine this lecturer who has been seeing your face in class and he's not sure what you want to be in the future, and he finds you in a more serious governance fellowship. You can imagine. So he treated me as a diplomat in that case, even when we went back to university. So this thing is quite benefiting, that it's from here that you're going to meet people who will look at you as fellows and will step in to help you.
Keep that for my next question, eh? Thank you. Yes, I get back to you, Ronald. Please pass over the microphone. Ronald, how was week 2 a game changer?
Week 2, first of all, before I bring in week 2, I must say this before I forget it. You guys, you have international skills you must learn. Learn how to use the camera, learn how to edit, learn how to use the console. All these gadgets, you must not leave the fellowship.
You are answering my next question, eh?
Okay.
How was week 2?
Now,
a game
week
changer.
2, I come into week 2 when I was green. Okay, I loved radio, but I didn't know what to do. If there is anything I learned from the fellowship, was radio stuff. I remember Simon going and putting those papers on the wall, teaching us how to structure a feature story. I mean, to me, I think I got everything of radio from the radio week 2. And
Can people, eh? At least, yeah? Natasha. Hey, this is week 2.
because again, I used to despise my voice. I never knew, or I never thought I could speak well. So when from radio stuff, people started telling me, hey, you have a good voice, so you could do this, do that. From radio week 2, I learned how to do a feature story, so I started doing many of the feature stories. I experimented with everything I could, because I knew in future I'm going to do TV. So every experiment I had to do now, presentation, feature stories. So that's how, for me, I started out with week 2. I mean, it helped me so much to understand, because when I go into TV now, I see when you're doing a feature, okay, there are some things that change, but not so much, just a little bit, a drop of detail when you're doing with television and when you're doing with radio. So with radio, I did many experiments. I remember everything I did, I was sharing, asking people to give me feedback. Hey, listen to this feature, a 3 minutes feature. What do you think about it? Then people could come in and tell me, oh, do this, change here, or change this. Yeah, presentation the same. So for me, it was about experimenting, discovering myself, appreciating this industry with which I've stepped into. Today when I step on TV, because when I joined my work, my new workplace, on TV I had put radio. So I wanted to step in quickly, and they were like, but you've been doing radio, so you need to learn more. But trust me, when they gave me the first shot, everyone was shocked, because now for me, the confidence I had, I just had to now reach into my intellect and my intuition and did a bit of acting, and everything was perfect. So for me, that's where I built everything from the radio week 2. So I appreciate it so much, and I'm humbled that I'm coming here to speak again. People who want careers in broadcast, this week is one of the most important weeks. Everything you think about, everything you imagine, because radio helps you to imagine things. Think about yourself doing news anchoring. Think about yourself doing a feature, a documentary. You can experiment. When you get to TV, you just have to attach pictures and videos. So this week is an experimenting week. get everything you can out of it. Me personally, trust me, I'm just a few TikToks away from blowing up at Next Media. Very soon you'll hear. So Radio Week 2, trust me, it's everything for me.
Thank you, Ronald Mugabe.
I was asking myself, my colleague, what used to be about week 1, and he's telling me it was about photojournalism, is it? Introduction, eh? So week 2,
Anthony,
so week 2
you
you
are going to
realize.
take us through all the weeks.
So week 2 you realize you have started. Yes, you realize you have started because radio is not easy. So you realize, oh, journalism. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mugabe and Kuthum. My friend El Shaddai, week 2, in summary, and its contribution to your career.
I must actually say that week 2 is one of those vigorous weeks in the entire fellowship program. But again, it's it sets the pace for you because you realize that once you finish the radio week, everything is gonna be easy for you because you've mastered the basics. Even when you go and collect a story, maybe in a format that is visual, it will be easier for you to be able to put it together. Personally, I don't know if you guys have had enough sleep for this week. I don't know.
Group 1 and Group 2, yeah? Morning radio shows, they know.
Exactly, because I remember very well, we were just close here. I think it's Katomi, right? Most of our colleagues, slept at 4 a.m. in the morning. Just imagine, you've been all through, the work that you're doing. But again, you have to keep working to put the jingles together, to put everything together so that you can be able to be time to have a morning show ready. So I remember Bukenya was a producer for a particular group. We found them in the room early in the morning. They had slept there. You understand? So it is something that is so much vigorous, but of course it is for those that are not weak-hearted at the end of the day. But to me,
it's not for the weak-hearted.
It's not for the weak-hearted. Yeah, you need to be a little bit. Exactly. So, personally, career-wise, I think, week 2, Radio Week, I came to Radio Week, I was so much expectant. I was curious to learn quite a lot of different things because this was something that I wanted to learn. So I came with an open mind to learn each and every single thing that was going to be put on table. So I paid more attention. I must report myself that I paid more attention in the Radio Week than the rest of the weeks. The attention that I gave to the Radio Week was...
But he passed a disclaimer that that should not...
Yeah, it should not be the same case with you people.
Thank you.
So the Radio Week, I think to me, was one of those weeks that... blew it up for me because I got to learn each and every single thing that I had to learn because I was coming from a university whereby practicals are not so much taken seriously. So yes, the theory was there, but the practical bit of it, knowing how to operate that console, using those softwares, the audition, and maybe collecting the stories and structuring the feature story was a little bit hard. So I came in to just learn those, and thank God, Mr. Simon, you did a very good job. By the time we left the Radio Week, oh God, I had to go back, practice what has been taught, and by the time the lockdown hit, I was well versed with all the skills and I was able to actually produce a few things in there. And then also the Radio Week, it is within that particular space that I got to be so much curious about different things that I see. I'm one person who is so much who takes things for granted most of the times. But the Radio Week ignited my curiosity on different things that happen in the society. Because I remember very well, this is where we got to learn the systems thinking, whereby you don't only look at the problem at the surface, but you have to dig deeper and find what could be the root cause of this. So even looking at something that one could take so much oblivious, it ignited my curiosity to find out why is it happening this way? Why is it actually like this? So it drives you to be able to, be keen on each and every single thing that happens. So I think the Radio Week should be actually dubbed the foundation and the root of the entire fellowship program.
Clap for El Shaddai. Kindly prepare your questions. I'm soon opening the microphone for you to ask your questions to these lovely fellows here and colleagues. I spared this question for Kulthum. And you are the only one to answer this one.
Is it?
From fellowship to Recorded TV.
Okay.
Tell me about that transition as a fellow now joining a media house, given the knowledge you have and so on, skills and so on. So tell me about the transition.
First of all, I want to say the fellowship is so super productive.
People have ever heard that? You have not heard that? Kindly repeat.
Again, the fellowship is super productive. I'm imagine how many faces, the faces you watch on TV and they're in front of you, like you've always admired. Me, growing up, I admired news reading, and it's so fortunate that I have an OG, Shiba. Good to meet you. And if you remember very well, in my A level, I used to read news for the assembly. So
were you in the same class?
Not really. She's a baby. I was in senior 6 when she was in senior 4.
Senior, oh,
Yes,
okay. I thought same class, eh?
Yeah.
But we are glad to. Okay.
No, she's a baby.
Okay, it's only a joke. Eh? Shiva, don't be offended. Yeah.
So my late mom, may her soul rest in peace.
Oh, sorry about that.
She used to ask me, "What do you want to be?" And I always responded, me, I want to be a news reader. And she's like who? Then I was not admiring the Sophie Kenu, the Victoria Rubadiris of today, no. I used to admire Rukshana Namimba, that is NBS's weekend news anchor. So I used to get this newspaper and read da. So at the end of the day, for me to sign out as Asha Kulsum, I would sign out as, and the news for you, then she was on NTV, and I am Rukshana Namimba. So imagine myself, Rukshana Namimba. So my mom used to tell me, no, put your name. I'm like, I want to be like her. So imagine seeing those faces. Those faces are brought in your face. There is no fear at all. And you feel like, so this is how maybe Samson Kasumba looks like. Or this is how Andrew Chamagero looks like. Or this is how, any media personality you look up to looks like. Gave me the strength of thinking I can be that person. I can be the next Victoria Rubadiri. I can be the next Rukshana Namimba. So a reason why I say the fellowship is productive. The fact that they gave us time to meet these people, there will be a time when you people will have mentors. So we got to associate with these people we admire in the industry. So when I admire maybe Mildred to Haise, and I have her phone number, we WhatsApp, I view her status, it's kind of like life is easy and I can compete. So meeting these people in person gave me the courage to compete with them. So it was simple and easy for me to walk to a media station and convince them, look,
and compete with the seniors.
Yes. Look, the people who are reading news on your TV, I'm better than them. And the MD is like, really? Can we give you a screen test?
Sure.
Yes. And lucky enough, we used to do these trainings here, practicing, even way back at campus, I cannot lie. Those are some of the things that I participated in way back. So it was really easy for me to walk to a media house and get on the camera. And my experience was I met some gentleman who was going to be hired. So they were there for an interview and screen test. So fortunately, my colleague calls me and tells me there is an opportunity, please come. So when I walk there and talk to them and convince them, look, I am the next big thing. You know, we had that time and say, oh, the next generation of journalists. I am not seeing it here. You don't want these people to be the next generation. So we had that slogan, we are the next generation journalists. So we carried the pride. I carried the pride to that media house and convinced them I can do better. So I was given a script that I read just once, and the news head then was Chris Igenyi. Chris Igenyi now works with NTV, morning at NTV. And he immediately said, you're the person I've been looking for. So it was interesting and fun for me to walk into a place and given an opportunity without me being sure of myself. I wasn't sure of myself, but I was sure I was going to make it because of what we got, the seeds that were in the fellowship, how they trained us to better ourselves and convince ourselves. Because you guys, when you meet these media personalities and they tell you how much they package themselves, how we package ourselves for sale, you will walk out there and convince them you're like a marketeer. You're gonna buy my bag. This is Donny and Bock. From where? Oh, England. I don't hear about. I know Chanel. I know Gucci. I know Versace. I know, you know. And like, no, this guy is a veteran. You know, something like that. So it's about pitching yourself, branding yourself, selling yourself out there. So one of the skills I got in here was to sell myself, convince the persons, my employers, and it's one thing I even do up to today. I convince, even when I'm not sure that I'm going to do that thing perfectly. And no one is perfect. There is no any other Victoria. There is no any other Mildred. But you can be your own Shiba. You can be your own someone. True. No one can be you. And you've got to learn that even when you leave a workplace, you will be replaced. Mr. Abbas used to tell us, no one is irreplaceable. You can be replaced. That person might not be your face, but it could be that other person who replace you and people will forget about you. True. So that's the slogan I walked in with. The next gen Jan, I can. And yes, I live with it even up today. I would even apply if it wasn't for if you've ever been a fellow, you can't be a fellow. I would convince you to follow me again.
Thank you so much, Kulthum. Clap for Kulthum. I had spared that question to Kulthum, but because democracy is in place, I'm giving a minute to El Shaddai. You said you want to add on. Then I'll twist a little bit for my colleague, Ronald, the same question, so that we have another angle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali. Talking about how the transition into media, Kulthum talks about something that is so much paramount, and that is packaging and branding. My first job on TV, I never did any job interview. I was just called. I didn't apply for it. I was just called, and the producer then, Mr. Andrew, called me. I remember it was a lockdown, a Friday. He called me. I was like, Joseph, I need you. There is something I want you to do for me. I was like, okay. He told me, where are you? Can you come? Because cars were not moving. I had my bike during lockdown. So he told me, can you ride that bike to the station? So I rode the bike. I reached there. He told me, this is what I want you to do. Can you be able to do it? I was like, I've never done it, but I think I can try to do it. I'd never been on TV, but I asked him, why did you choose me? I was like, I've been following what you've been doing, both online and in the physical. I've been seeing what you do. I didn't know Andrew. We've never met. So he told me, you are the person I want to do this. So that drives me back to packaging and branding yourself as a media practitioner. Today, we've had a conversation with the CEO, Mr. Mpindi, and we are talking about the same conversation. I remember, I think a few years ago, I posted something in line with, cocaine. It was marijuana. We know cannabis. I posted cannabis, and I was like, if you need a Christmas tree to buy on 1st January, please come for me. Come to me. I have them. So immediately the CEO gets into my inbox and told me, El Shaddai, pull that post down and remove it because it's going to affect you. So personally, I felt like maybe he's even approaching me in a manner that is not, this is my
Your private life.
my private life. I was like, yeah. So to me, the same thing that happened to Simon today, though it was a fake account. So I told him I didn't see the importance of that, not until today, that maybe that post would be used against me 5 or 3 or 7 or 10 years in the future. So it's the same thing, as you are on a journey to actually get into your next position as a radio personality, as a news anchor, as a producer, package yourself in a manner whereby your next employee is going to be appeased and convinced to actually buy the package and say, this is what we need. So I think that is it, Ali.
Thank you so much, El Shaddai. Are you clapping? Okay, I guess you've prepared your questions. Ronald.
Yeah.
Kulthum, Mordecai Mulisa, Kayonga Po, Joshua Mitala, Shamimu Navakoza, Julius Buchana, Sandra Triniovurio, Sandra Triniovurio, ETC, ETC is bad, and many others were employed just after the fellowship.
Yeah.
But relating that to your story, it is a bit unique. But today you work with Next Media.
Yes.
I understand they were months between.
Yeah.
However, because of that background, many fellows think that after graduation, there is a job for me, and I should be like Joshua Mitala, I should be like Shamim, I should be like Kurthum, I should be like El Shaddai, I'll be like Kavabito, Tracy. I understand that comes as a challenge in terms of transition at the same time.
Yes.
I want to understand how you dealt with that. How long did you have to wait? What were you doing in between, and how were you able to get to Next Media?
First of all, let me tell you this story. One day I was walking to school. I used to walk to school to study because I came in back late. So I was so hard up. So I used to pass by NBS, and I said, why don't I walk up to these guys and tell them that I can do something? And so I reached Dalton and I told him, hey, I can voice stories. I was like, oh, he didn't treat me harshly. He told me, you could go and apply and go through the system and then you'll come back. But then I'll come to that later. Now, me, after the fellowship, of course, for me, my mind was still experimenting many things. So I was not so anxious to join a media house because I knew somehow, someday, I will join a media house after what I had learned and after what I had gotten to know. So now I'm in the middle. Of course, you need to join a media house when you start to see your friends already practicing. You also have this love to practice. I didn't get that straight up because, again, I tried to apply and I failed. But for me, again, it was more about doing different things. And surprisingly, the thing that got me into a media house is something that anyone can ignore. Antonio sends me a script of a commentary, like political commentary. So I get this thing and I voice over it. I was at home by then, so I voice over it because then we were during lockdown. I haven't told you the whole story of the Stay Home magazine that also gave us so much practice. But now we are into media, like the question he asked. So he sends me this text. So I look at it and then I voice over it. Then I send it back. I send him back the audio. So he gets it. I think he sends it back to the people who sent him that. So when the guy gets it, then he says, "Oh, we would like to work with this guy," you know.
People clapping for Antonio. Antonio, thank you for the support.
But also, before that, in the radio week, I remember I didn't do quite well in the radio week. So I was at home busy trying to experiment, trying to get my mind up. So I did a commentary line. I think when I did the commentary line and I shared it with the group, Abbas got to it and said, "Oh, Ronald, you know you can do commentary, like, you can do commentary for real." Then I was like, okay, maybe it's something I could also try to focus on, because I had already practiced it. But I never thought that it would come, because first of all in Uganda they were doing Luganda commentary. So English commentary to me was something that I used to practice my voice. If I want to make my vocals a bit better, I do the commentary, just like a By the Way. Now, I sent back the audio to Antonio, so Antonio sends it back to the Football for Peace guys, the Arise. So the Football for Peace guys called me for a project, and we did the project. I remember we were together. We were together with these gentlemen, all of them were on it. So when we were doing it, it completed. Then again, it got ended. And then we had some months again in between. But now Sanyuka TV was trying to transition from Luganda to English, because they needed to reach out to a much bigger audience. So I think they landed on the audio. When they landed on the audio, I think they looked out for the number, then they called me. The gentleman who called me said, "I listened to your audio, the 30 seconds clip," because it was a clip. He told me, "I listened to it. I listened to your voice 30 seconds. So I was like, he was like, "If you can do this for 30 seconds, because it was a brief thing," then that's when they called me and we started to agree on these things and all that. So then I got into, now they called me to join Next Media. Out of nowhere.
Are people clapping? Where is your potential as you clap?
Now, joining Next Media, I start to do some little stories, starts to voice. I didn't voice right away. I don't know why, because it was a bit of a bureaucracy there. When one gentleman from the newsroom had me voice, then he started giving me news stories. He started, "Hey, you could do for us the voicing." These guys will tell you when they're there, some of them it takes them a while to start voicing news live at 9 and all that. But then they start to give me news to voice and all that. So when I'm voicing these stories, I'm thinking about Dalton. I'm like, okay, Dalton, I came here some time back and I wanted to voice. And then he told me to apply, and I'm like, I haven't told him yet, but one day I'll go to him and tell him.
He doesn't remember that you are the one.
He doesn't.
Oh.
Yeah, many people approach them.
No, keep it until when you are promoted to his position.
But it wasn't.
Then you tell him I'm the other boy.
Yeah, who came in and tried to. Actually, even Solomon, when Solomon came back, I told him, "Hey, Solomon, you remember you came with me here, showing me around, because he was my mentor in the. We came and you showed me around." He said, "Oh, now you work here." I was like, "Yeah, I work here." So that's how, for me, I transitioned. Everything to me has been a discovery, like I told you before. Even now being on a show like the football show, because you have to do a build-up. Again, like I told you, people thought, this guy is a radio guy. Can he really be a stunt man on the camera? And it was a bit of a scuffle. I told them one thing: never underestimate Ronald Mugabe, because he will shock you. And when they put me there, now my boss was telling me, was talking to the producer. I said, now you've given Mugabe to go and present. What are you going to do to this other guy? Because now everyone wants Mugabe to come and do the build-up.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, you know what? We can always share the platforms.
Thank you so much. I've known you for having a big heart always. Ladies and gentlemen, Mugabe has talked about commentary, and I think that has been ringing in my mind. And Bukenya, if you have any sports background, you didn't prepare for this, I know, but at least you know a cappella. Yeah, you know a cappella. Kindly give us the a cappella of commentary. As you prepare your questions, it is now time for you to ask the genius minds here in front of you any questions you feel like asking in line with career growth, social life, fellowship, etc. Bukenya. Okay, you remember Tochi Mugawa week?
Yes.
Hey, Kuthum, you know Tochi Mugawa week?
Can I say something about it?
Mark shared, eh? You want to share something?
Something brief.
About Torch?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, after the fellowship, I realized I had issues with camera interaction. So Ali and some other ladies started that program. And Ali was like, approached me because we used to discuss quite a lot.
Okay, just pause a little bit.
Yeah, quite a lot. So Ali, I don't know
why the echo.
Yeah, so
Okay,
Ali
thank you.
invites me on this show, and I was glad to take it because for me then it was like I have a chance now to have an interaction with the camera, to practice that, because for me everything is about practice, camera interaction, because I used to be so afraid of the red light. And Torch Mugawik was a Luganda program which was talking about the politics. So I told Ali I can do the Luganda as well. So we did it. And trust me, I got the practice I wanted. And then people gave me feedback that I also had good views, which, yeah, I still appreciate.
Oh, thank you so much. So that is a show that we were doing with the support from the organization, but I think we had not graduated from the fellowship.
Yeah, we hadn't.
Yeah, so the management supported us, and Shaidat is now working with the UBC.
Yeah.
And it helped her grow. And the more lesson for me on your side is, even when you are not attached to any media house, at least keep around the fireplace and keep busy and growing in your career. Then patience and persistence, as well as throwing your potential to the public, right? Okay, commentary part of it. As someone has a microphone already? Great. Mugabe.
Yeah. Just waiting for that background.
Yes, Ukenya.
Yes, it's getting cold and interesting with some of the things we are saying here with the 5th edition, but I cannot tell you how impressed I am to find these young people.
I don't know if we can do something about that. If we can do something about the echo for a good experience, and the kabaka ono. Are we good? Okay. We rewind. Sorry?
No, they'll just have now to wait for NBS Sport.
Oh, okay. Maybe as Mark gets the cable,
Yes.
keep it in the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Time for questions from the audience. I'll give one question to each individual, and if you feel like a question is it needs to be answered by a specific person, please mention that person, and if it's open, feel free to let it be open. Do you have a microphone? Okay.
Well, my name is Shedrick Kaevale. My question is open. Joseph El Shaddai talked about professionalism and ethics. I would like to kindly inquire, since you guys have the platform, and as they always say, we use journalism to amplify to amplify the voices. What initiative do you as the professionals have to eradicate the non-professionals from the system so that journalism is respected fully?
Thank you. I'll take 3 for now. Doing away with the non-professionals from the industry. Who is asking? Is it just moving? Huh? Okay, it shouldn't move for the sake of moving, but also this is a chance for you, because I didn't do your introductions intentionally, so that if you don't ask a question, this guy will go without knowing you, and I'm waiting for those people that will be comfortable, so that the celebrities get away without you hearing your voice and name. I was intentional. All right, from Cedric to you.
First of all, thank you for the stories you've told us. They're really inspiring. Thank you so much. My story goes to the lady.
What is your name?
My name is Meme Letitia Loise, and my story goes to the female lady. You say that you could just go to an organization and you tell them that I am better than all your anchors here. Could you just, you could literally just go there and tell them that and just present to that, to present to them what you have, or you had some recorded stuff, you had like podcasts you could write or anything like that?
Okay, Kuthum. Question number 2. Question number 1, non-professionals, El Shaddai. Question number 3, if it's open to you, a brother, Ronald. Who wants to go first? Okay. You want to combine? No. You will come in the second round. No worries, my brother.
All right. Well, my name is Shiba Karunji. I don't have a question, but I want to add on what he said about different media houses bringing unexperienced people that are really not journalists. And I feel like this kind of thing is killing our journalism and people out there, the public. At the end of the day, it gets to blame all of us, the professionals and the non-professionals. And maybe at the same point, it's the journalists that we have to blame. Maybe we're not doing that much for us to be there. But besides the journalists, even media houses, I feel like of late media houses are more focused on making money.
True.
They want the people that have made it, or just like the comedians and all that. Now, if you look at, I don't want to give certain, because really, it's really so unfair. And the fact that these media houses are so money-minded, they don't want to give particular journalists the opportunity to do what they can do. So it really disturbs me a lot. I feel like it's so unfair.
Yeah, I think we shall have a little discussions on what we can do. Just imagine we are 25 or 26 fellows here. So what can we do about that? In that we also take over the nanny professionals. A question?
Well, thank you so much. My name is Solomon Chisache. I happen to be among the 26 here. My question...
You just happen to be. When will you be?
It's a privilege and an honor to be among the 26. My question is with regards to, we live in a generation that is no longer appreciating radio that much. Attention has been shifted to TV. And you, as the three who are seated there, what role have you played in breaking that bias to make sure that our generation tries to go back to radio and appreciate more of your work? Thank you.
That will go to Ronald Mugabe. They are shared questions. I'm going to come back for round 2. Prepare your questions for round 2. I'll start with the lady. Yes. Kothum.
Well, you said Letitia. Thank you so much, Letitia. You said, how can one occupy space? By walking to a media house and you convince them how good you are or how better you are, it doesn't mean you just walk in there. You've got to spot, you've got to know that there is an opportunity. And what do I mean? My coming here does not end it all to a person like you. make friends with us. We are the very people who will spot and tell you there is an opportunity here. Can you make it? I can't remember how many times I've called Antonio. Antonio, I need a newsreader. And it's fortunate I got that newsreader, and later he pulled out for one reason or the other that was understandable. But when there are opportunities, when I walked to Record TV, Mordecai Murisa Martin Jr. called me and he told me there is an opportunity for Luganda news reading. You can imagine. So I stepped in for the Luganda opportunity, but convinced them for the English sport. So it's about making circles that are going to benefit you, circles that are in your profession that you want to work in. When you make those circles friends with, when you become friends to those circles, not even circles, it doesn't mean you need to join that circle. Keep the communication with people. Keep talking to your colleagues, the Marthas, Ali's, Antonio, Mugaga. Keep talking to those people. They have friends who see opportunities. There are opportunities that always come that I see in the groups, and these colleagues of ours are posting, there is a fellowship here, there is a scholarship here, there is this and so. So we don't just go online and look for them. When someone posts in the group there is a fellowship from Conrad Adno or Steve Tang, you just try that opportunity. And not that every opportunity or every space that is told you about, you go in and you get. You do not get. There are very many times you're going to try and fail, but you literally get it. Kentucky story. This question, someone was commenting, Shiba was commenting about experience. My sister, you've had talks of job opportunities and they tell you 9 years experience. Imagine this person who has ended their education at senior 3 and started community journalism, and they've been posting on social media and bringing stories to newsrooms as freelance journalists. What happens if there is an opportunity? They'll work for them. So that does not mean that when you are a bachelor's holder you will stand in that position forever, or there is opportunity for a bachelor's holder or a master's holder. These people also, given circumstances, they are pushing their hope, their faith that they will be there regardless. So experience yourself. Don't wait to be called for something. Some people earn it. They are not professionals, but you look at them and you be like, onogai wakabi, isn't it? When they're not professionals, but because they've been in the field for quite a long time. But I challenge you, if you have gone through all these series of learning and trainings, keep there. Keep practicing on your social medias, keep practicing, keep doing recordings, keep doing things that later you will convince someone that you are an experienced, educated, trained journalist as compared to a community journalist or a citizens journalist who does not have that paper.
Thank you. Clap for her. Keep practicing and practicing and practicing. Thank you, Kothum. El Shaddai.
Well, thank you so much, Ali. I think it was
Shedrick.
Yes. Who talked about how are we and what are we doing to eradicate unprofessionals from the spaces. I think I might not have a valid answer to it, but a part of the things that we need to do that I suggest could be done, one of them is what the Media Challenge is doing, is to first of all interest young people in radio, because if we are not interested, then again, who is going to actually take up the places? That's why the comedians, the unprofessional people are also going to see the void and also tap into the opportunities available, because they are interested, they know how to speak, they can pull the numbers, and they can do actually what we can do. But what separates us from them is that we attach professional ethics and maybe principles of journalism to it. So bottom line is, if we get interested as journalists in radio as a medium of communication, then time is going to come when they are going to be challenged, and they will definitely see no position for themselves. Let me give you an example. It might not actually happen today or tomorrow or 5 years from now, but trust me, the next generation that will come in will definitely find a well-prepared generation of young journalists that have been given the skills, that have been educated to actually go and work on radios. We might not enjoy the fruits of that, but trust me, if the fellowships happen, who knows, 10 years from now, the Salvadors are not going to be around. And if they're around, there might actually be also journalists, because even if you go to America, the best there, if you look at BBC One or BBC One Extra and most of the radio stations in there, they have people who are journalists, but they have just attached the other attribute of, you know, being satirical, being comedians, being funny and humorous to just this. So it is so much unfortunate that here in Uganda is where we actually pull a mariachi from stage and put him behind the microphone. But the other side, what they are better, compared to us, is that they even take them back to class, which is not the case here. So if we definitely go back to the baseline of studying, as Solomon said, young people are not interested in radio. Yes, it is true, but it's our role to actually interest ourselves. One of the reasons as to why I actually said, you know what, I think I should venture into radio was I saw that void. As like, if I look in, all the radio presenters around Kampala, if we give them 10 years from now, are they going to be more relevant? If we give them even 5 years, they're not going to be normal. And my question was, who is going to replace them? You was the question. And I was like, I want to be one of those people to replace them. But even before I replace them, I have to be in the journey to replacing them.
Clap for El Shaddai. He's in the journey of replacing the ones that are up there. Ronald.
Yeah, I think for me I should start by telling you guys, you are good. But the problem is no one knows it. I just listened to that gentleman's voice. Wonderful. $1 million voice. So what he needs to do now is to keep doing some things and then sharing them with people. Him too, before I come to your question. Now, what should we do? And I think that's what people like me now are trying to do with Ali. I'm coming back because then it's a concept of research. We have to do some more research to see how it's not necessarily to bring people back to radio. The thing is to bring people back to content that helps. You know, in Africa we are a little bit aloof. We have these problems that are everyday problems that are an everyday man's problem. But again, we overlook them, and when you watch most of our television, even radio, when you listen, you hear people talk about things that are really a bit strange and not attached to that person who's walking out there on the street. So I think it's important, whatever option in life you guys are going to take. Some of you will go into photography, others will go into production, but the thing is to keep the content pure, necessary content. How do we keep the necessary content coming out? I think that's something we should think about. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much. Yes,
and maybe to break the narrative, the different audiences. Someone said people are not interested in radio, people are interested in TV. I want you to go back and make your research. Radio, TV, newspaper have different audiences. Someone who listens to radio, you will never find 50% of their time on TV. You will never find them. And someone who watches TV, you will not interest them even to listen to any hit banger on radio. They'll say, I'll wait for it on DJs at Toto, you know? So we appeal to different audiences to break that narrative of people now, young people listen to radio. Young people have grown rich. Young people have cars. Young people listen to the radio in their cars. Young people listen to sports on radio. Young people. So it's finding interest in what is your source of information. That's key.
Thank you. I'm taking the last round of questions, and I think I'll take 3 people. I give you the 30 seconds, El Shaddai, and they should be 30 seconds.
Thank you, Ali. Maybe to add on, I'm forgetting the name. Shedrick. What you actually asked. I just want us to imagine if each and every single year the Media Challenge Fellowship produces 5 interested journalists, well-informed, educated and skilled, and they want to dominate the radio space. Let's say there are 5 each year. Let's give it 5 years. How many people are those? Trust me, in just 10 years, if each year we've been consistently doing it, time is going to come when the radio space is being dominated by well-informed people, and in just a whisker, you're not going to see people manipulating the spaces.
I'm glad we are getting there. Thank you so much, El Shaddai. Our capella, then these last questions. Yes, our capella, Mr. Kenya, from this genius.
Radio Week cannot get more interesting, with lots and lots of knowledge being shared at the moment, sitting before the fellows of the 5th edition. I'm currently here in the booth, impressed by what they're saying and also what my panelists here are trying to say and telling us about the Radio Week and all the content that can be shared on every different platform. But it's just about 10 minutes now to the end of this game, and we are just seated watching and enjoying how they quickly pass the ball, these guys. They love to get themselves and their feet forward, but we just have to keep the faith that journalism in the next coming years will be so important and so much well researched. Thank you very much from me, Ronald Mugabe.
Thank you, Ronald. So that's Ronald Mugabe for him. For you, you remember one of the podcasts I played for you about a mother? Huh? You remember the powerful introduction, eh? That was Ronald Mugabe for you. Yeah. Let me take the 3 questions and we end this. Where did the 4th one come from? Okay. Let me start with you.
Hello. My name is Martin Mugambi. My dream is to become one of the best sports journalists in the country and internationally. And my question goes straight to Mugabe. I have 2 questions. And the first one is...
Ask one. Interviewing skills, eh? Yeah.
I would really love to know, because there are these really experienced sports journalists, but they have terribly failed at commentary. So regarding your opinion and your experience, do you really think commentary is something any sports journalist can pick up and develop their skills in that, or it's just a talent that someone has? Peter Drill is simply born, or are they created? Are they just born like that?
Talent or something that one can grow into. Thank you so much. Another question. I'm seeing Tracy. Then the microphone will move to Pastor. Eh? Are you asking? Okay, up to Pastor. Yes, I've seen you, Hannah. After her, you, then Pastor.
Thank you so much. Good evening to the panelists. My name is Tracy Tendo from the current cohort. I just have a question. For you guys that are already practicing, is it worth the hype? And I'm going to tell you this because as a journalist, society's expectations are high in terms of whether it's just the showbiz, the glitz and the glamour that comes with the camera and hearing you on radio. Is it worth the hype, or should those of us that are still not yet there just stick to podcasts and TikTok? Thank you.
Thank you. Is it worth the hype? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Arinaitwe, and I'm also part of the 5th cohort. And my question is, what was the hardest thing about transferring from radio to TV or TV to radio? Because I'm quite interested in that. Thank you.
TV to radio. Is it worth the hype, Kuruthum? Yes. Take that on. You already have one. Let me get to know this question.
Okay, mine goes to all. My name is Mutawazi Elijah. And my question is, what is that favorite thing about this career to you all? That favorite thing about the career.
Favorite. Well, how many questions do we have now? 3? 4. Favorite is just a statement, right? Then Hannah's. Hannah. Okay. Favorite, just a statement. Then we now have the questions. Chair, sorry.
Something favorite?
Yes, favorite about this career.
Oh, I think.
Then after the favorite, you answer your question.
I answer. I think it's when you have all this knowledge on the back of your head, you want to help out people, so you feel this burden of responsibility. I think that's the most important, because the media gives you that platform. So when you give out to the world, you're giving out what you already have. For me, that's it. What you have already, and then you want to tell the world that, hey, something is happening. Just imagine if those kids who die and no one knows about them, no one spoke for them. If you're a journalist, you're the spokesperson for the world. So you have to polish your spokespersonship to get audience, to get people to listen to you, to get people to understand what you're saying if you're writing. So you're the spokesperson for the world. Just think about it like that. That is if you're a journalist. It's different, journalism and media. Now to the question of my brother who wants
talent. You can make it.
First of all, you have a good voice for sports. That's a compliment. Yes. So practice. Get into the business and understand it. Previously, I wasn't so much into sports myself. It's something that, like I told you, how I shared my audios and all that. I was doing sports, yes, but as something I do leisure time. But then I started by practicing. I remember I was in S6. And then a friend of mine was trying to imitate some commentator from the BBC. Then I listened to him and I was like, do you know that if I put attention to this thing, if I give it 5 years, if I practice for 5 years, me normally when I'm trying to learn something, I give it 5 years. So I was like, if I practice for 5 years, I will be better. You see that? So there's no one who's born. Even Peter Drury was an accountant. Then he went into commentary after, starting to practice. He used to commentate on things happening around him. So it's about, if you have a voice, first of all, like I've told you, and you know the concept of the game that you're trying to do, because commentary is about telling us what's happening. Then practicing if you want to get into it, and then don't limit your mind. Keep going. I always tell people that your mind I was reading about the brain, it has capacity of over terabytes and terabytes of capacity to hold everything you can dump into there. So don't limit yourself. Practice, push yourself, go on.
Thank you, Mugabe, for that. Practice and practice and practice. Is it worth the hype?
Yes, it is. Imagine if you put out a story and it impacted at least 5 people in your community. Just imagine that.
Impact journalism.
Just imagine that. Did I answer that?
You answered the Nyaba. You have a follow-up question?
have colleagues here that like, then what? Like ochfunam gochfunam. Like am I speaking? Like I'm speaking. Like I understand, but a journalist supposed to be only on the impact side, or are newsrooms really paying you to keep you know, like, because at the end of the day you don't want a journalist whose objectivity is threatened by a brown envelope. So are these newsrooms, are these media houses making sure that the welfare of journalists, that the standard of pay, that it's welfare-wise, you know, we are at a point
So
where...
you are talking about money.
Yes.
Using very many words.
Thank you very much.
Good.
I think it's a discussion we had today at the Media Hub. It's a discussion we had today, and when I was talking to my colleagues, I told them this world we live and life is governed by economics, politics, and journalism is individual development. What flows in your adrenaline? What flows? What do you want? There are times when you feel like, I am broke, let me pick this Kamani. And I cannot lie to you, very many of us have done so. But there are times you look at the problem and you feel there is a solution. Let me give my example. I lost my mother this year, the 6th of February, and she succumbed to cancer. So imagine how many stories I have written, not lots, but lots of words about cancer. If I hear Olanya succumbed to her cancer, I'll just sit down and get emotional and ask myself, what is this cancer? I was yesterday but one watching UBC, and I was listening to Diana. She is an oncologist who went abroad and studied about tumors. And I want to know, what are these tumors? What has failed? Imagine me tasking the government, the community. How can we get together to fight this? What has failed in our system? What has failed in our community? What is Africa failing to get to treat cancer patients? What can we do? Do we need funds? If I collected a piece of information, sourced very well, ideas, solutions, imagine, and tomorrow the government is buying maybe a new radiotherapy machine. How are you informed about something? I make research and I get to know that the radiotherapy machine that is used at the Uganda Cancer Institute has been in that position since 1995. But there is technology. What to the people in the USA? What was Olanya looking for in Seattle? Because there is technology. So what can we do? It's the individual processing. Can I put it in Luganda? Wefumitiriza n'omanya kino kyenkola kiyamba nze n'eggwanga. How is it going to impact? That is impacting in English. How is it going to help the very many thousands of people? I was again seated with them, and today morning actually, at the Media Hub there is a Solutions Now Africa, and I watched the video of breast milk donors. Who did that piece? Renette. Is she here?
No, from a cohort.
And I offer myself to help her out to get a better story, a rich story, because this triggered me. This is a short video for her, but she doesn't know how much it costs. Imagine if we completed this story, despite the length, sources, the whole information is spread out there. I'm looking at her story. Yes, it is a good story. It is informative, but we don't have background research. We don't have medical research in it. We do not have the side of very many mothers. We don't know why 24 donors, yet the whole country has mothers. I'm a lactating mother. I would be the 25th donor of the breast milk.
True.
You know? So I'm imagining how rich that story would be if it had a lot of information that is informative, and how much money she would get if it is all over. She would be BBC product.
Thank you.
It's not about the money, but what you have done will bring the money. It's the reasons that's why these media personalities are going for African investigative journalism, because they look for passion. And they feel like, when I do this, I will impact. I will end corruption, I will end health, blah, 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 I will end this. So at the back of your mind, whereas we enjoy being on TV, being on radio, being celebrity, being on TikTok, my TikTok has grown from 23 in 2 weeks, from 23 to I think now 933 by the time I was here, in 2 weeks, after knowing what content I should put on my TikTok. How is it impacting? Apart from listening to music and you sing to the Shiba's lyrics and blah blah, how impactful is it going to be? I think I'm there, right?
How impactful is it going to be? No follow-up question. No. What you do will bring the money.
And about the favorite part.
Okay.
The favorite part in my career is how I sit on a border and the border guy asks me, "Naya Russia?" And I'm like, in Ukraine. Imagine you're the brain. You, Mama Gundi, who is selling, you go to buy tomatoes and it's like, Wama gwe mundama uli nkulaba nyo mukamoto kaka radio phone 7. Wama chitufu olanyabamu wadebutwa. You know? That's the beautiful part. The most favorite part, when everyone knows I'm a journalist and they want me to tell them social capital. Exactly.
Thank you so much, Kuthum. Clap for Kuthum. As we have El Shaddai, Hannah's question, you remember it? Okay. I know you for making summaries.
Yeah, I will start with the favorite. I think journalism is just fun. Besides whatever is being pinned on it, it's fun. Just imagine doing your favorite sport. Imagine Ronaldo being paid to actually play soccer. They are paid doing what they actually love. It's like leisure to them. They are paid. So that's how I take journalism as well. The other question was, what is the hardest or easiest transition? Oh, I won't say it was hard. I would tell you that up to date, there are a lot of things that I actually go up into my mind. I'm like, did I make a right choice? You understand? Those things do happen. When you meet people, personally I've met people maybe in the community, you find this person in town and they ask you, but we no longer see you on TV, what happened? Then you have to narrate a story. You find someone and you ask them, is this and this? My parents told me, for them, they would actually get that pride seeing you on TV. But on top of that, they don't know that you're not so passionate about that. For them, they would actually gain that pride seeing you on TV. And most of them still know I'm still on TV. My son works on TV. Our son works on TV. Then you become a community son. Our son works on TV. But it's really hard, most especially to take it in and the transition in there, because people think you need to be there, and for you, you think I'm not supposed to be there. But again, it goes back to you. Like I said, it doesn't matter the medium of communication that you are on. What matters is what you're putting out. Still again, I do a lot. I sit before cameras, even when I'm not on TV, and I speak. It could be of my personal gain, because I cannot dictate or roll it out that I'll never go back to TV. Maybe it's just a matter of time. Who knows? Next year I might say, let me get back to TV. But for now, this is what. But it's really hard, most especially if you are to deal with people's expectations, what people are saying. It might be a smooth transition for you, but it's hard to convince a listener. I still get a lot of people in my inbox from my former work. Where are you? Why don't you come back? I was like,
someone may like your outfit and watch you, but a listener, there are very many channels like, you know?
yeah, so To narrow it down, it's really hard. There are quite a lot of people that we talk to, speak to, and to me, there might not be a lot of people. Ayinza n'okuba omuntu omu gw'oyogera naye, but once you're out, that person will know that Kulthum takyaliwo. Okisegeera. So it is just there in the balance.
Thank you so much, El Shaddai. Ladies and gentlemen, clap for our guests. I believe you've picked one or two lessons out of this session. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, now request for the parting shots from each individual relating to your fellowship experience in a minute. Let me have your parting shots. I'll start with El Shaddai still.
Well, my parting shots are easy. Just be available. Do everything. You know, go to the days when we walked into university. I walked into a university and I wanted radio. I didn't know there are quite a lot of different course units in there. I wanted radio. So I reached there is news writing. I was like, what's this again? There was sociology. I was like, what's this again? I thought when I walk into a university, they're telling me this is the radio, period. But in a generation that is turning around and growing very fast, you need to be versatile, if it's the right word to use. Use this opportunity to learn everything. Data journalism, if there is something that I regret that I didn't put much more attention in the fellowship program, was data journalism. I spent the rest of the week sleeping.
Thank you so much, El Shaddai. Kulthum, parting shots.
I think I will not differ from El Shaddai, but one thing I will add on is fear God, love God, put God first.
Thank you.
Put God first. Be flexible. I can swear to you, there's nothing I cannot do. I can try. There's nothing I cannot do. So learn each and everything. And become friends with those people you're seated with, either from UCU or from Makerere or from UMCAT, blah, blah, blah. Be friends with them. They are the persons who are going to show you where the opportunities are. And don't take these trainings or whatever we share here for jokes. Because you guys, the future is there and is waiting for you. There are very many journalists, very many friends of mine who used to be, the first in class, who used to do this. These people are the ones who are going to get jobs. But we are having the jobs here. So practice, love, make circles, do what? Be flexible, because the future is there. And trust me.
Tracy, I'm hearing your voice, eh?
And trust me, the future is waiting for you. What happens when the Mildreds are retiring? You will be there.
Thank you so much, Kulthum. Ronald Mugabe, parting shots.
Yes, use the connections. These friends, these guys you're with are your first connections. They are your first point of contact when you want to get into a place. When I joined Next Media, I was happy because I found people I knew. Then I became comfortable. It's different. People bully in these media houses, trust me, when you get there. Contacts. You might go to the BBC, but because of the contact you have with that person. But another thing I want to say is that never compromise on quality. Never compromise on quality. I mean, every time you have a chance to do something qualitative, put out your best self. Practice, I talked about that. Practice always. Always practice, never give up. Learn. And also discover. The world is big. The media world is big. There's film. We haven't gotten into that.
Swamp journalism. Yeah.
There's data journalism. He was talking about it. There's no one who knows. I mean, I look at the newsroom right now. We are not doing any technology story. We don't have a technology reporter at the moment. And I'm like, can people really think about that as well? I mean, the world is big. Film, interview, anything you can put your hands on, try it. And see where it goes. You don't lose nothing. Learn the international skills, camera work, audio work, the production stuff. Learn them, just to learn them. You never know. It might be your point of entry into a media house.
Ladies and gentlemen, put up a very big hand clap for El Shaddai from MCI Radio. A very big hand clap for Kuthum, Radio 4 and Radio 7. A very big hand clap for Ronald Mugabe, Next Media. And the chair, a vote of thanks on behalf of the group. Then we let our guests get back to Kampala.
Ronald Kurthum, I think you shall break the fast with us. Yeah, and Joseph, on my behalf and on behalf of the 26, I'm humbly, like Shaka Sali says, I'm humbly honored and exceedingly humbled that I've been part of the audience. The Trinity presented to us the 26 what we would never have had at school. Within the team, there are year ones, year twos, year threes, and graduates. May the rainmaker bless your fields. May you harvest more yields in the days ahead. And Ramadan Kareem. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being part of this conversation. Enjoy your evening. Thank you, El Shaddai, Kulthum, and Ronald. Yeah.